us, like, every day you don't go out, I mean, you're Asian American, but for us it wasn't a primary, I mean, it's just representative of us. You know, we're Asian, it's in the music if you listen carefully to it, but it's not the number one thing, you know, because that's not the number one driver in our lives. We're hip-hop heads, we like the music, and that was the number one thing. So we made music that was really hip-hop first, and then, of course, we're Asian people doing it, so that was in the music also. That was our formula, I guess.
I think early on, I mean, you guys probably attest to this, but like, there's such thing as sounding Asian, and like, sometimes like artists that would, you know, would make good music, and then they would kind of connect like, yo, you didn't sound Asian, and you know, and then it would be like a compliment, like, yo, you didn't sound Asian. And then I think now, I mean, it did sound kind of awkward, you know what I'm saying? Like some people make music and just like, nah, I don't want this. But I think now we're getting to a point where like being Asian is almost starting to become cool. Like we're starting to see that a little bit, you know? And a lot of kids growing up, like with the same influences, seeing Dragon Ball Z, like we're starting to speak the same cultural language. You know what I mean? So like sounding Asian, there's an artist named Keith 8 that's kind of blowing up right now within like the cool kids and shit. And he doesn't only sound Asian, he's raps in Korean. Ichima.
Well, for me, I mean, I grew up in an urban community, and it was never an issue of like you being Asian trying to do hip hop or anything like that, you know, because our neighbors were also like minorities or whatever. But if you look at like hip hop in general, I mean, it's literally about storytelling and struggle, you know, where my family came from Cambodia, and when we landed in the States in 1980, we were already hit, we was hit with poverty firsthand. And it was kind of like, okay, I was born in California, so I was born American, but I was able to get like the education and everything else. But I'm looking at my peers like damn, y'all struggling too. And I grew up listening to hip hop in like 80s and 90s R&B, but it was never on some like, oh, you can't sing or you can't rap because you're Asian. And I used to catch the bus to school, and back in LA we have this radio station on Power 106. And every time we're catching the bus, like you get to hear Big Boy playing this stuff, and during that time, like Snoop Dogg just popped off. And he was literally like 3 blocks from where I was living. So when he was playing on the bus, like I would be rapping it too. And I dealt with a lot of prejudice and like a lot of people just kind of downplaying it because, oh, you Asian, you can't be doing that. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of like something that drove me as well, but at the same time, I was just like, you know what? If I just tell my story and be honest with myself, I don't need to worry about if people want to accept me based off of my color or whatnot. You know what I mean? I feel like if your music and your story is authentic, there's going to be somebody willing to listen and relate to it, you know.
I just want to add to that. I know that, similar to what he was saying, that you know, a lot of like the storytelling that you do is based on your own experiences, and like if you're Asian, those stories are Asian. So by default, what you do is Asian. And I think, you know, especially in the early years when we were first starting out, like we didn't know who the hell was going to listen to us. We were just writing for ourselves. We weren't really writing for anybody. And, you know, it depends on, you know, who relates to you. And of course, you know, you get the Asians who are like, oh, there's the Asian spoken writers or the rappers. So like you get a lot of that at first, but then people kind of see past it when they see